The idea of converting a dynamic website like a WordPress website to a static website sounded ridiculous to me not long ago, but after a while, it has been the best thing that has happened to me in terms of keeping my website secured, SEO for my website, and also avoiding a lot of spam. So if you have been using WordPress, you realize that it becomes so difficult to avoid spam messages. It's a lot of work for you to optimize website, whether or not you're doing it for yourself or for your client. And also, if you have a very popular website, you realize that you have a lot to do with malware, a lot to deal with hackers trying to hack down your website. But that is now a thing of the past because I have learned a simple, easy trick for me to have my WordPress website not publicly available to people, but will have it in a play environment or a development environment, and then I would deploy a static website live for people to access. And that way, the public have access to only my static files, and that's a lot of work. I get amazing speed and I have less issues to worry about in terms of hacking websites or managing dynamic websites. So in this video, I will show you exactly how to do the same thing and exactly how you can deploy your WordPress website literally for free to Netlify. So without further ado, I think we should get started into these tutorials immediately. So right on my screen here is just a random website I want to use for tutorial purpose, dev.dapstools.com. So I just have a random WordPress website installed here. What I want to do with this website is for me to deploy this website as a static website live on Netlify. And this is Netlify. You can build anything here. You can deploy website literally here for free, and you have good free resources. Netlify is not a free platform, but they have a free tier, and that is good enough in most cases. So let's come to the pricing. You can see from here that you have up to 100 gigabytes of bandwidth, and that's a lot. Sincerely, a lot of things you can do here at the free. So I'll show you exactly how to get this done. So right now, let me come to the back end of this website. From the dashboard here, we'll need the help of a plugin. So we can come to plugins, we can come to add new. We'll search for a plugin called Simply Static. So we have the plugin here. You can just come here and install and activate this plugin. I have this plugin active on this website already. So you can see here, it has 40,000 active installation, updated 2 weeks ago. It's quite a fantastic plugin. So once this plugin is active, what we want to do is to come down our website here. We'll see a place here for Simply Static. We can just come here and then come to generate. So the next thing you can do from here is that you can set this to export and then you can come to generate file. So once you click this here, you would see that this plugin would generate a static version of your website. This can take some few seconds depending on how heavy your website is. So you want to give this some time to finish up. Within some few seconds, this has finished here, and then we can come here and see, click here to download this file. So you can see that will download a zip file that you can upload on Netlify. Great. So now that we have that downloaded, we can come now to Netlify. So from here, you can easily just come here to sign up a free account. Super simple and easy to create an account here on Netlify. I'm not sure you're going to have a problem, but I have an account here, so you can see it's logging me in directly. So you can see here, Start Pro free. I'm using this for free. So from here, you can see that you can deploy manually. So you can come here to drag your file here. So I'll just come here, I will drag this here, and that's it. So you can see this is uploading. Just like that, in a few seconds, this is done, and you can see this has deployed successfully. So let's get started. And now if we just scroll down, we'll be able to see a website here, and then let's open this up. So here's the link to our website. From here, we can just easily click this. And just like that, we now have our static website here. And I think this is super cool and amazing. So every of the pages will be here. As you can see, this is Beautiful. So if you come back here, you can see that you still have quite a number of things you can do. For example, you can see the URL of this website. You may want to change it. You may want to use your own custom domain. If you come up here, you can see that your site has been deployed. The second thing you can still do is for you to set up a custom domain. The thing is, when you set up your domain, automatically an SSL will be generated for your website. Let's see how to get that done. So let's just hit setup, and now let's put a domain name. I will just use a domain that I own, and then I'll be asked to verify this domain name. So it says that this domain name has been registered. Yes, definitely. Let me add this domain regardless. We can see that we have awaiting external DNS. So what we can do is for us to set up DNS for this domain. So from here, we can set up a Netlify DNS for our domain. Let's verify that. From here, it says a DNS zone for this domain already exists on NS1, and that's because I've used this domain before here. So let me open up this domain from Namecheap here. So I'll need to sign in. So here's a domain here. Let's manage this domain. So you can see this domain name is pointing to these name servers, and these name servers are name servers for Netlify because I already used it for a website earlier on and I deleted that website. So what we can still do here is for us to change this name here. So if you come here, we can edit this site. From there, I can use a preferred name just in case you want to use their subdomain. That's literally up to you. I can say dabs tutorial .netlify.app. I think that's fine. So you can see that. So managing domain name here is super simple and easy. To continue this tutorial, let's leave this aside. These are things that we can sort out eventually. The real issue is what happened if you want to update your website from time to time. You have a WordPress website where you post content regularly, or you manage a client website that updates content, or you have a comment section, a blog section, dynamic content. You have a form on your website. So how do you make the form on your website work since this is a static website? So that's a very legit question. Is there a provision for me to be able to update my WordPress website and it's updated live here on Netlify? That's a legitimate question. Yes, there's a way to do all of these things. Yes, there's a way for you to have your WordPress set up. Like I told you earlier in the beginning, in a staging environment, you can make changes to your WordPress. You can publish it from there and it automatically updates here on a static website. Now, the question is, how do you do that? And that is taking me to the next step in this tutorial. So follow me along. Let's see how we can get this done. So now if we come back to our website, so with Simply Static, there is so much we can do with their Pro version. But before I go into that, I think I should talk about the staging environment. So if you want to use the free version like this, you are very much okay anytime you make changes on your website for you to just come here, generate the file, download the zip and come here and re-upload it. If you are very, very much okay with that, I would recommend that you just create WordPress in a staging environment on your local PC using XAMPP. I will leave the link to that in the video description. You can check that out. So I can easily launch a XAMPP like this on my Windows, and from there I can just start Apache and then start MySQL. Super simple and easy things to do. Once I start XAMPP, I can then log in into WordPress. So I can just go to localhost/WordPress, and you can see that I already have a WordPress website here inside of my local host, and I can just come to wp-admin for me to log in into the backend of this WordPress website. That way you can always have a WordPress environment where you can make changes to your website and then you can publish it. So you can see here I can log into the backend of this WordPress website, but this would not interact with Netlify. This is local to your computer, is not live on the internet. So what I would suggest for you to do is but in case you want to always update your content and you want to do it one click, in case you want to have a more, in case you want to do more with your WordPress, in case you want to do more with your WordPress, you want to have a place where you want to have a WordPress where you can publish a post and then you can deploy directly to Netlify, you will need to create a staging environment that is live. I always recommend that you can invest in a budget-friendly hosting like Hostinger. I have the link to Hostinger in the video description. For you to have access to a live server so that you can play around with things. So you can check out, and also I have lots of tutorials around Hostinger. So that's it for having a staging environment. So once you do that, you can then come back to your WordPress, and I would also recommend that you'd install the pro version of Simply Static. You can invest in that would help you a great deal. So if I come to plugin and come to install plugin, I have the pro version installed earlier, so I can activate it. And now if we come back to Simply Static and then we come to generate, so there are a lot of things we can do right now. We can set up our forms from here. So if you come here right now to forms, automatically it will be turned off, so you can turn it on. And once you do that, once you come to Simply Static right now, you can easily come to forms and then you can create a form here. Super simple and easy, right? So let me show you how all of these things work. For you to be able to publish your content directly from here to Netlify, you need to come back to Netlify here, and then you need to come to deploy. From here, you can see that you can choose your deployment method. By default here is at zip archive, so you can choose GitHub. So the question now is, why GitHub? And I think I showed you earlier that Netlify works seamlessly with GitHub. So if we come right here to Netlify and we come to site overview. So from here, if we come to add a new site, and then let's just import an existing project. So you can see here, let's deploy your project with GitHub. So GitHub works seamlessly with Netlify, and also there's a way for us to connect GitHub directly with WordPress with a secure token. So let me show you exactly how that works. So coming back to WordPress here, before we go and fill in our personal details here, we just want to come to GitHub. You can go to github.com and create a free account. As you can see here, this is logging me into my GitHub account. So what we want to do first, once you create an account with GitHub, is for you to come up here and create a new repository that we want to use for our WordPress. From here, you can see I'm the owner. You can call this repository anything. Really, I can just call it Dabs tutorial. And this is available. You can give it a description if you want to, or you can make it public or private. But for this purpose, this is good for private. And you can ensure you had a README file. And once you do that, you can come down here to create this repository. And that's it. This has been created. The next thing we want to do before we go back to WordPress is for us to create a secure token, like I told you earlier. So once you come to your profile here, you can scroll down to settings, and from settings here you can scroll down here to developer settings, and from here you can come to personal access token and come to fine grain tokens. So what we will do from here is to create a new token. Now I want to give this a token name. I can just call this simply static, and you can choose an expiration date for this token, but I'll leave this as 30. You can give a description if you want to. That's literally up to you. From our repository access, we want to only select repository, and from here we can just type in the name we just created, which is Dabs tutorial. I can see that here, so I will select that repository. From our permissions here, the first permission is repository permissions. So we would scroll down till we get to content here. We want to change this access to read and write, and then we can still scroll down again till we get to webhooks here. This is quite optional depending on what you want to do, in case you want to manage forms, comment, and the type of forms that you want to, but you can select these two as well. And the next thing here is to come to account permissions. So from email addresses here, you want to set these to read only. So if you scroll down here, you will see the overview of what you have done, the permissions you have set, and the accounts that you have given permission to, and then you want to generate token. And now we have our token here. You can copy this token, and then we head back to WordPress. From WordPress here, we can put our GitHub username. We'll just add that So the next thing here is my email. So I'm going to add that up. And the next thing here is our access token. So we're going to paste that here since we copied that earlier. And our repository, you want to make sure that you use the repository you just created for this WordPress. So the next thing we can do here is to set our visibility. Remember that we set that to private earlier, and then we can set our webhook URL, but I turned that on earlier. But again, that's not for this tutorial. Maybe in subsequent tutorials, I will touch on that. And then let's save these settings. So you can see this is saved, so you can test deployment if you want to, but I'm not sure I want to do that right now. So what we can do is to come to activity log. And from here, let's just generate another static file. So you can see this is running right now. So let's give this some seconds to finish up. All right, so you can see that this is done. This is finished. This is fantastic. We can see that here. But what we can do right now is for us to come back to GitHub and let's see if that works. And I can just open up my repository here. From my repository here, so you can see that I now have WordPress content here. So what we're going to do right now is that we're going to deploy these directly to Netlify. So now let's come back to Netlify here. And you can see, let's deploy your project with, let's just come to GitHub. GitHub is asking if we want to authorize Netlify. We definitely would want to do that. So let's authorize this. And you can see that that has been authorized. Coming down to our repository here, unfortunately, you can see that I can't find my repository here. This one is public 5 years ago, and that's the only thing here. Nothing like my private repository. I can just come down here to configure Netlify app on GitHub. And then we want to now specify what we want this to do. Here we can choose to give Netlify access to all our repositories or maybe a specific one. Regardless of what you want to do, if you want to deploy more website, that's literally up to you. For the purpose of this, I might just leave it at all repository and then I would save this. And now you can see that I can see all of my repository here. I can just choose that story, the one I created 4 minutes ago, and it's private. So let's click this. So what you can do next here is to give it a site name. The site name will determine the default URL that it will be used for. But again, you may still want to use your custom domain name. So you can leave this, but I can just call this dapps tutorial. We can check if that is available, but I'm not sure that is available because I used that earlier. I may want to say dapps tuts, for example. And then we want to check if that is available. You can see this site name is available. And from there, you can just come down here and deploy dapps tuts. And that's it. So we can see that our website here has been deployed. And what we can do next is for us to add this URL here to our WordPress website to simply static. So again, like I said, there's a lot we can do here. You can add your custom domain. There's a lot you can do here to your site configuration. You can set up a custom domain name and have HTTPS for this website. So you can see this has been published and that's fantastic. So now let's come back to WordPress. From here, we want to come to general. And here you can see we want to set an URL for this. What we can do is to change this from a relative path to an absolute path. And here we want to paste the domain URL. So I will take out HTTPS. dapps2.netlify.app is fine. Once this is done, I can come down here. And then I can save changes to this, and you can see this has been saved. That way here we can see that our website here has been added to Netlify. To test our connection, what we can do is for us to update our website. So we can do any update whatsoever. But let me see what our website looks like in the front end again. So this is it. So I don't have a blog post. I will have maybe added a blog post, but let me just add something more to my menu. Let's come to appearance and let's come to menu. Let's add a custom link. I can just call a random URL is fine, and then I can call this dapps, right? So let's add this to menu, and then let's save our menu. So that's a change to our WordPress website. So if we come to the front end here, we can refresh this. So we can see that this now has tabs here. So if we come back to Netlify here, let's even open up our URL. Let's see what we have. So you can see it is the changes we had earlier that is still here. Dapps is not here right now. So now let's come back to our WordPress website from here. Let's now launch our Simply Static. Let's come to generate. Even before we generate, there's still something we can do. Let's come back to this website here. Let's come to the contact page. Let's check out the forms so that we can make changes once and for all. So from here, this form, let's experiment with this. Let me just put something random, dapps. Let me send now. So you can see that the form is not responding. So let's come back to our WordPress website. So before we even generate this, I think we can come to Simply Static now. Let's come to forms. And from here, we can add a new form. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I can call it contact form. So it says, where is your WordPress installation running? This is running on my web hosting, but if you are using your WordPress on your local WP, you want to specify that. And also you want to choose how you want to use your form, whether it is embed form or webhook. I told you earlier when we set up a webhook. As a matter of fact, I think I should show you that if you come to Simply Static website, from here, you can come to their LAN and you can come to tutorials here or videos, whatever, but I think video is fine. If you come here, you see that they have quite a lot of videos that would help you. So I think it's a fantastic plugin. Their pro is worth the investment. So if you come down, you would see that you would see tutorials on how to do a lot of things, how to manage search in case you're using search on your WordPress website and you want to make it static. You can see your forms. You can see how you can do that for your contact form 7, graffiti forms, also for WP forms. So you can see all of them have like two types. So you can see one is for webhook, one is for embedded. So in case you want to use your WP form as a webhook and not embedded, I also like the fact that once you're embedding it, it is embedding as an iframe. That make a lot of sense. So fluid forms, you can see that Elementor forms, WS forms. You can come to how to optimize it, minimize your asset, and all those kind of things. How you can deploy this from local directory to GitHub. You can see all of those things that we are doing right now. So it's a fantastic platform. I think maybe I should also check out their pricing for us to see exactly what their price at. So at pricing here, you can see that you can use it literally for free. I showed you earlier, priced at $99 per year. You can choose the number of websites. If you want to use more than one website, for 5 websites, $199. And if you divide that by 5, that is literally a good amount of money. You can deploy with GitHub and other platforms here. You can also have dedicated video course. I think that's quite very fantastic. So that's it for that. So now let's come back here. So for the form, we're going to stick with embedded forms. And then we have to choose the plugin we are using. So you can see you can choose whatever forms. For me, I'm using WP Forms right now. And then we need to select our form ID and also our form shortcode. So now let's come to WP Forms. Let's open this in a new tab. I'll copy the shortcode from here. I would come back here. And then I'll paste the shortcode here. So the final thing we want to do here is to type in our form ID. And this is our form ID really, 1539. But we want to write it in this format, the way it is written here. So I can maybe just type that somewhere here. I can just easily type WP Forms, then an hyphen, then form, another hyphen, then I will type in this number 1539. So I can easily copy this right now. I cut it and then I paste it here. We can just come up here and then we can publish this form. So that's it. That form has been published. So right now, let's come back to generate now for Simply Static. And now let's hit the generate site. Again, this form is trying to create static files for our WordPress website. So let's give this some few seconds to finish up. Oh, fantastic. Simply Static has been able to generate a static file. So now let's come back to our website. Oh, no, we have it opened here. So this is what we have. Let's come back to our home page. So that should refresh the page. So you can see now that we now have dApps now here. And I think that's super simple. So now let's come to our contact page. So I can just easily come here and type my name. So right now, let's send to check this out. And our form has been sent, and here is a thank you message to that effect. So that's exactly how to get this done, guys. I believe you find this super amazing. This is how to deploy your WordPress website to Netlify for free using Simply Static. And that's my time for this tutorial. If you find it very useful, give me a thumbs up. If you have any issues whatsoever, do let me know in the comment section. I'll look out for them. I'll see you in another tutorial, and until then, stay safe.